Hello, everybody. Welcome to Apollo's product update webinar. This is the second we've done in this series. Kick into this with an Apollo I/O intro. We will then chat through our product themes for 2020. We'll then go into our actual releases, things that have launched or are on the edge of launching. And then Krishan will take us through our feature roadmap, and we can finish with Q&As. Reminder to use that questions box as opposed to the chat anytime you have questions. So we are Apollo. We're the end-to-end sales engine. Hopefully you know us because you're a user or you're interested. We ask that you hopefully do try a trial and get started on our platform and join the 1 million users of Apollo, including some of the amazing brands that we're proud to use, they're proud to have as customers of ours. And with no further ado, I want to introduce Krishan. Krishan, kick us off, who's our VP of Product and will be taking us through our product updates today.
Hey everyone, I'm Krishan, our VP of Product. Super excited to be here to share some of the things that we've released recently, as well as some of the updates that we're making to the platform. For our product for 2022, there are 3 key themes that we're focused on. The first one is providing you with best-in-class data. So that means we're continuously trying to improve the coverage and the accuracy of our B2B database so that you can get better prospecting. 2 is intelligence. So we're trying to figure out how can we further develop AI functionality that's going to provide you with actionable insights across your entire sales process to figure out what you should be doing to improve your success rates for sales engagement. And then 3 is killer engagement. So we want to make sure that we're creating the right automations and personalizations and channels for you to engage with your customers with. So we'll touch a little bit on that today as well. Cool. So some of the recent releases to start with is one, I think that someone mentioned this in the chat already, but you can now source candidates with personal emails in Apollo. So what this means is that now instead of just getting business emails in Apollo, you can also search for personal emails without any extra cost. And why it's important is usually for people that are looking to use Apollo for recruiting purposes or to find consultants for their own company. You don't want to necessarily reach out to their business emails, but you want to reach out with something a little bit more personal. So we've had this request for quite some time, especially for founders that are looking to improve their sourcing or recruiting function at their company. So this is now available in Apollo. You just need to go to your settings and prospect configuration to turn this on. The next piece is alerts for new ICP prospects for you to add. So this is a pretty exciting one. What it is when you save a search, you can subscribe to email alerts now, where it will show you whenever there are new records in Apollo's database that match this search criteria. So the reason this is important is because it allows you to prospect faster and continuously get a stream of new leads in your inbox that match your target persona. So what this means is whenever Apollo adds new contacts to our database, or whenever people change jobs and now fit the criteria of what you're looking for, you can receive alerts and make sure that you're reaching out to your entire addressable market. The next piece, this is mostly for more of our enterprise users have requested this one, but you'll be able to manually map contacts to the correct Salesforce account. So what this means is when you have multiple accounts in Salesforce for the same company, so for example, you might have Oracle India, Oracle America, Oracle South America, and so on, all with the same domain as like oracle.com. Apollo will now allow you to show up a prompt that will allow you to choose which Oracle account do you want to select to map this contact to, rather than mapping it for you. And the reason this is important is that you have more control over your Salesforce data, and you can keep your CRM up to date without manual cleaning. So if you do want to enable this, this is another thing that you can enable by going to settings and prospecting configuration, and you'll see a multiple accounts section under there. Well, the next piece is, this is something that we'll be launching very, very soon. It's in the QA phases right now, which is live call coaching and whispering. So what this is a click to call dialer where managers can join and speak to reps on calls without the prospect hearing. And why this is important is because now managers can provide live call coaching to their sales reps, even in a remote environment where traditionally, as you probably know, when people were in office, it would be very common for managers and reps to sit in the same room to be on calls and talk to each other while they're on calls. You can now do that in a remote environment with live call coaching and Whisper. The next piece, which is exciting for our free users, is you'll now be able to use our sequences even if you don't use a Gmail domain. So specifically, if you use any of the Microsoft Exchange type of domains, you will now be able to use our sequencing feature within Apollo. Again, it will be a limited functionality that is for our free users. But historically, only Gmail users have been able to use our free sequencing platform. So we're pretty excited to open up the gates for this to all my Microsoft Exchange users. The last kind of major thing that I guess I'll touch on now is an Apollo and Gong partnership. So there's two pieces to this. So first of all new Apollo customers that are customers of Gong are eligible for a 70% discount on our professional plans. And second of all, we're creating a two-way integration with Gong. So from Apollo to Gong, basically, when you're in deals in Gong, we'll help you identify missing stakeholders that you haven't yet reached out to and get their contact information to bring them into deals from directly within Gong using Apollo's data. Secondly, we are working with them on integrations that Apollo's calls can directly be logged to Gong, so that you'll be able to get Gong's full conversation intelligence capabilities right from through that link with Apollo. Cool. And then in terms of future product roadmaps, there's a few exciting things in here. There's definitely some things that we're still trying to keep under wraps for now. So just want to let you know about that. But in Q3, within the next 1 to 2 months now, we expect to be launching intent data, which will be helping you understand when accounts are expressing buying intent for your category, so you can reach out to the right accounts, the right people at the right time. 2 is sequence assistance. So this goes twofold. So basically, you'll be able to get real-time feedback on how to improve your deliverability, but also how to improve your success rates for your sequences. And will help you understand when you're performing below benchmarks and what you can do to start to improve your sequence performance. The third piece is around LinkedIn automation. So I know this was a major ask from many people here in this chat already, but we are currently investigating how we can get better LinkedIn automation within sequences and doing this in a fully compliant way. So this is something you can expect in Q3 and Q4. Another thing for Q3 and Q4 will be the Salesforce App Exchange integration, where within Salesforce itself, you can get your data cleansed, enriched, and you can see your full Apollo research directly within Salesforce profiles. And then the fifth thing here is the CRM data center, where you can plug in your CRM and we'll show you just how much data is out of date from your CRM right now and how much data from your ICP is missing from where you are right now. One other thing I want to touch on that I maybe can talk about in a public forum like this is we are looking to build out additional CRM integrations. I saw that was something that was asked about in the chat. So you can expect, by Q4 that we are starting to look into, starting to build a connection with Pipedrive, Zoho, Dynamics, and some of the other highly requested CRMs. And then just want to note, just because of that chat on the LinkedIn automation piece, we definitely want to make sure to do this in a compliant way. I think as many of you probably know, there are vendors out there that provide very full end-to-end LinkedIn automation, but oftentimes people's accounts get banned, and this is kind of illegal to do from LinkedIn's perspective. So we're working with LinkedIn right now to figure out what is the compliant way that we can work with them to provide LinkedIn automation. So those are some of the major things coming up on a roadmap. Like I mentioned, there are definitely things that I can't necessarily talk about in this type of forum quite yet. That's also exciting. That's coming up. You'll have to stay tuned for our next product webinar to hear a little bit more about some of those. But let's go into Q&A from here. So if you're interested in leaving questions, we have a questions feature at the bottom right of your screen, and you can definitely ask some questions there. I guess, Ara, do you want to take this away?
Sure. Donna's asking what are our advantages over ZoomInfo, if we can start there with a good question from Donna.
Yeah, definitely. So there's a lot of different things that would make Apollo better than ZoomInfo, and I think it really depends on the market that you're going after. So first of all, what we do recognize is if you do a direct head-to-head data comparison, Apollo wins around 80% of head-to-head data comparisons against ZoomInfo. So what that would look like is if you provide the same list of leads to Apollo and ZoomInfo and get the, see how many email addresses you can enrich and how many mobile numbers you can enrich, you'll notice that typically we win 75% to 80% of those deals. Another thing is just the cost, the usability, we are a company that builds for our users. So our whole goal is to make our users successful. This is why we build user-friendly interfaces. We listen to our users to figure out what to build next on our roadmaps. We interconnect our tools with sales engagement, with analytics, and enrichment, and so on, and try to bring that all to you as one complete solution. One thing that we hear very often about ZoomInfo is that they don't necessarily take the approach of putting their users first. At the end of their renewal with you, they're going to try to, upcharge you into the next tier. They're very limited in the features that they'll give you for the same type of price because they care about the revenue first rather than their users being able to be successful first. Makes sense. They're a publicly traded company. Nothing against them. They're a great tool as well. And what I would say is the most important thing to look at when you want to compare ZoomInfo versus Apollo is the data for your needs. So I would recommend taking a look at them, do a head-to-head data comparison, and then see what's better for you. I will say in like some niches, like if you're looking for data in China, for example, like you might see better data with ZoomInfo than Apollo because that's not been an area that we focused on yet. That said, we are focusing on improving our international mobile and email coverage in the next 2 to 3 months here. You'll start to see improvements. But yeah, nothing against them, but would recommend doing a head-to-head test.
Thanks, Christian. I think a similar question Thomas is asking, is our data sourced only in LinkedIn or do we take in other data sources to build our database?
Oh yeah, absolutely not. So this is actually one of the biggest reasons why we have better coverage and accuracy than a lot of data providers out there. So we have many different data sources. So obviously we do scraping, which most data providers will do. We also have some third-party providers that help us improve our data from there. But the biggest source of our data is our data contributory network, which means we have 1 million plus free users that make emails through Apollo, send emails through Apollo, make phone calls through Apollo, they link their CRMs to Apollo, and so on. And whenever we have 2 records that those free users, like 2 different free users are using, we're able to take that data and add it to our data contributory network and add it to our database. So basically, the fact that we have a freemium product allows us to have 1 million plus free users that are constantly helping us improve and increase the coverage of our data every single day.
Awesome. Thanks, Christian. And great questions, everyone. If you want to keep dropping in questions, I'll continue taking these. Christian, Russ asked a great question. I don't know if we have time for a demo, but he's asking basically when he's searching for a marketing manager position, for example, in Apollo, he's seeing results like digital marketing manager or something even more sort of random and outside of that search query. What's the best way, let's say we're doing a title search, to have a very tight list of well-targeted answers from Apollo?
Yeah, definitely. So I can pull up Apollo here and then show that, or I can also just kind of go into the how. But basically, on our title search, we have the ability to include and exclude keyword. Also, my cat decided to join us today, so we all are cat friendly. I think I'm actually not able to share my screen on this platform, but let me try really quickly. Yeah, I'm not able to share my screen on this platform. So yeah, Ara, if you want to take back screen sharing. The quick answer to that question is if you go into Apollo and go to search and go to our job titles filter, you can search for a job title, which might be marketing manager. But if you click advanced search, which is the drop down right underneath it, you can also exclude titles. So exclude words like digital or channel or whatever the partner or whatever things you don't want to see, and that'll help you get a more refined search.
If we use quotations, would it be just literal to just that alone?
So if you want to do that, what you need to do is go into job titles, filter again, click on advanced search, and then use Boolean operators. And there, if you use quotations, you should see just that search alone.
Eric is asking about data refresh, how often we're turning over our database.
Yeah, so the leads that are requested from our contacts are refreshed every 30 days. But for our entire database, including the leads that are not requested from any of our users, are refreshed at latest every 90 days. But what you should expect to see is if you request a contact, the average for those types of leads will be every 30 days.
Glenn is asking if there's a way that we can exclude email addresses like .govs, and maybe speak to any other like safety measures around engagement. Christian, could be awesome.
Yeah, definitely. So if you're trying to reach out to people and exclude email addresses that mention .gov, the main way that you'd be able to do that right now is after you have already saved contacts, you can type in the so in our searcher where it says search people as like the top search bar in our filters. You can type in .gov. It should show all the emails and all the contacts that have a .gov email address, and then you can exclude them. You can either remove them from Apollo entirely or add them to a list of do not contact or change them to a do not contact stage. So that's something I'd recommend. Another piece, or just around general like safeguards, is I would recommend that people set up their stages and add a do not prospect stage. And then anytime you have a sequence, you can make sure that you exclude anyone that is in a do not prospect stage to make sure you're not reaching out to the wrong people.
Patrick's asking, will intent data be through Bombora or our own intent data or what?
So for intent data, we are partnering with a company called LeadSift for intent data. And one of the exciting things that we'll be able to do with them, so we did compare Bombora, LeadSift, Aberdeen, a few other intent data providers. What we recognize is that LeadSift had incredibly accurate intent data, where when we ran these leads through our campaign, we saw actually better interested rates and meeting rates in our actual messages. So we ended up going with LeadSift. One of the interesting things we'll be doing though is we are going to make intent data a freemium experience. So even our free users and our self-serve users will be able to get some access to intent data. Then obviously, if you want the entire package, that will be on the custom.
And timeline on that, Christian?
So this is something that we're looking to launch in August.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody, for these questions. I think we can keep taking some. Kaysen asked, can you clarify a little bit on LinkedIn automations that you're thinking about?
Yeah, definitely. So actually, I think Eric Somerville just added in the chat, like, hey, you can buy like Zopto, Phantom Buster, Meet Alfred to build out more native integrations. So the problem with some of these tools, so specifically like Meet Alfred, I'll speak about, Meet Alfred is actually illegal to use. So Meet Alfred is a company where the reason why they had to take down their Chrome extension from the Chrome store is because it was illegal, and like LinkedIn does not approve of like that type of use at all. There are some tools that are a little bit closer to what you are able to do, which is Clenty, for example, Clenty.com, where you can run down a task list, will take you to LinkedIn automatically. We'll have an extension there that will like allow you to just copy and paste something and like click send, and then it'll go on to the next profile automatically. So it's not going to be fully automated, but it will prevent your account from being banned. So that is something that we are more likely going to be doing. And then for Alex, when it comes to the legality of scraping, that is absolutely correct. So scraping is now legal up on LinkedIn, but automating messaging still is not. Yeah, any other questions here that are top of mind?
Look into, if you want to scroll through, Chris, and see if there's anything else.
Oh yeah, let me take a look.
In the meantime, go ahead.
For Alyssa, does the prompt work for Salesforce only, or does it also work for HubSpot right now? Right now, we built it for Salesforce only. It wasn't something that was requested from HubSpot users, but if that is a need, that is something that shouldn't be much additional time. So please do, let us know if that is a big need for you. Let your account manager know as well, and we can definitely see what it would take to prioritize that. And then, so Gabriel Emerson asks, will we ever be able to bulk pull the Apollo directly from within LinkedIn Sales Navigator? So right now, if you use our Apollo LinkedIn extension, you can add up to 25 leads at a time, so page by page from LinkedIn Sales Navigator into Apollo. If you want to automate going page by page for you to download hundreds of leads or thousands of leads from LinkedIn Sales Navigator, all fully automatically, that is also something that is a little bit of a gray area that will be more likely to get our users' accounts banned. So it's not something that we're currently looking to do. If there is a way to do this, very well, that doesn't, increase likelihood of getting our users' accounts banned, or just get us in legal trouble, that is something that we'd be, very interested in looking into. Cool. I think maybe going from the questions, I can also go into the, chat here. I think, there's one more question that was around intent. So I think from Anthony Hu, who asked, like, can you clarify if you're providing first-party intent data from who comes to your website versus third-party based on who Googled your search, or search for your solution? We will be providing third-party intent data, which will discuss, who has Googled or searched for your solution. First-party intent data, if you do use a tool like Leadfeeder that can populate that data directly into Salesforce, you can pull that from Salesforce into Apollo already and execute on workflows and perform searches based off of that. But the intent data that we're going to be providing to the world will be third-party intent data for now. The name of my cat is Zazzles. So yeah, she's left by now. So um, yeah. One piece that was also asked is, would we ever integrate with a third-party email verification service like Bouncer or Never Bounce? So one thing to note about these tools is Apollo already has a built-in verification service that is superior than Never Bounce. The one thing that you'll notice if you run Apollo data from Apollo into Never Bounce, and Apollo says the email is verified, Never Bounce might say that this is a catch-all, or like this might not be verified. More likely than not, those emails are still actually verified and likely to send. Never Bounce is incentivized to try to show you that emails are inaccurate, even though and the main thing is that their verification mechanism is not able to realize that this is actually a real email in some cases. The reason why we're able to realize that some of these emails are actually verified is because, like I said, we have a network of like 1 million users that like send emails through Apollo, and if we notice that an email address did respond to any of the emails sent by our users or so on within the last X number of days, then we will count that as verified, even if through other mechanisms it was not counted as verified. So there is some limitations to the verification ability of some of these providers, but we use our own in-house verification mechanisms because it is a stronger source of truth. Yeah, so if you are seeing bounce rates that are high from Apollo, what I would recommend is speaking to your account manager about it. So what we typically do there is, if we see a bounce that is for a reason other than being like spam block. So there's 2 bounce reasons typically. One can be deliverability related issues, and 2 is because of data issues. If it is because of data issue, we will remove those leads from our database entirely. If you are reaching out to people that we have guest emails for and still receiving bounce, that is something that a lot of our users will do. So we have the ability to reach out to people that have guest emails or verified emails. Would recommend to only reach out to people that have verified emails. And something that we're building right now is a tool that sits on top of our sequencing feature to help you understand when you're reaching out to people that might have lower accuracy rates or that came from a source other than Apollo. It allows you to pause all of those emails so that you don't further hamper your deliverability. And then any time that you send a list of like bounced verified emails to your account manager, we send that to our data team and we investigate how do we eliminate that source of bounced emails as well. So this is something that we're absolutely starting to focus on, which is building that feedback loop with our users. So something you'll also start to see in the next month or 2 is we are updating our data flagging feature, so you can tell us whenever an email is bad. Then we'll have a manual feedback loop where that email will directly go to our data research team. Our data research team will update that email for us and deliver it back within your CRM. So this is something that we're also working on to help improve some of the bounce issues, because data quality is one of the most important parts of our platform.
For Latin American users, I see questions around accents and a question around 2 last names in Mexico. Is that on the roadmap for internationalization, Krishan?
Yeah, so accents is something that we are definitely looking at right now, is to how to better interpret that data and make sure that we're showing the right results based on accents that are used in names. The 2 last names is something that has been brought up to our team recently. We're still investigating how we can address those pieces, because I think there are 2 sources of like where we'll typically get email addresses. So if we get an email address that's from a fully verified source, like we will still completely use that. But I think for our guest emails, that's where it's becoming more of an issue, where sometimes we're not populating the right email because we're not using both last names in the email or just the right last name. So this is something that's being investigated right now. I think the accents will definitely see improvement on. The 2 last names piece, we're still unsure about the right way to go about that solution.
Krishan, Matt's asking about Chrome extension, whether that would cause a LinkedIn account to get suspended. Is there any risk of using our Apollo Chrome extension?
No, our Apollo Chrome extension right now is fully compliant, so there should be no risk to getting your account suspended. The only reason that you would see your account suspended if you are using our extension is for a reason outside of the extension. So for example, if you are clicking on so say you clicked on 1,000 profiles manually within 10 minutes. Even if you don't use Apollo, that is something that can put your LinkedIn account at risk. So I think those are the types of things just to be a little bit wary of. But we do not see users get banned from using our LinkedIn extension because we don't fully automate things for you. We'll just take something that's on a profile or from a page and pull that data out into Apollo for you. What is the best way to find new contacts that have been added to a saved search or persona? So for William, this is the saved search alert feature that we just rolled out. So when you save a search, you can now subscribe to that search as well, where you can subscribe to email alerts. So once you do that, you can choose for daily, weekly, or monthly email alerts. And then in your inbox, you'll be told, like, this is how many new people fit that criteria for that search. And you can go in and directly add those people from your mailbox. You can click the link, and then it'll take you to Apollo, and you can add those additional prospects. Cool. So I think we're up on time, but I do want to just express that, so LinkedIn automation, definitely one of the biggest priorities for us, because we know that it is highly requested from our users. So like I mentioned, right now we're in the phase of trying to explore the right approach and just being very conservative about making sure our users don't get banned from using this. But we should probably expect to see this, reflected in our app in Q3, potentially early Q4. So it's definitely one of the top priorities for that team. And yeah, I guess we're a little bit up on time, but thank you so much for all the feedback today. If you have any other feature requests or information like that, feel free to let your account managers know, let our support team know. All that data gets bubbled up and gets fed directly back to the product team. And then I think Ara has a few last pieces to wrap up on.
Yeah, thank you very much, Krishan. If we can all give Krishan a round of applause in the chat. Thanks everybody for your questions and your chats. If you would like to follow us, please do so on LinkedIn. As we said, that's a great source of product updates and more. And then if you're already on Apollo as a free user, check out our other plans at apollo.io/pricing and consider greater plans. We offer more and more features, more credits, and some additional support and help. So if you're enjoying your Apollo relationship, consider another plan. That's everything for today. Thank you all again.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye, all.